Good morning, everybody. I'd like to read from Mark 8:22 to 26. Mark 8:22 to 26. It's kind of an interesting story about healing a blind man. It's got a lot of depth to it, a little hidden depth there. You have to kind of read before it and read afterwards to really catch the meaning of it. I don't take it at face value. Mark 8:22 to 26. Then they came to Bethsaida, and some people brought a blind man to Jesus and begged him to touch him. Taking the blind man by the hand, he led him out of the village, and after spitting on his eyes and laying his hands on him, he asked him, "Do you see anything?" And he looked up and said, "I see people, but they look like trees walking around." Then again, Jesus laid his hands on his eyes, and the man stared intently, and his sight was completely restored. And he began to see everything clearly, and he sent him to his home, saying, "Do not even enter into the village." See, the village had already been condemned because of their lack of faith in the Lord. So he takes him out of this village that has already been judged. And we see a blind man that is taken in to the Lord because the people that took him there really believed in Jesus. They believed in what he did, what he could do, who he was. And the man, we don't see any evidence at all of his faith in this story. We know that he was aware, at least, of who Jesus was and what he did. But we don't see any mention of his faith or what he might have believed about this. So he goes along with these people that drag him there, and we see that the people begged Jesus to heal him. We don't see him begging Jesus to heal him. We see the other people's faith, begging to have him healed. And so he uses his saliva, which was a symbol of healing. It was believed that your saliva is healing. It wasn't like a terrible thing to do. From our cultural standpoint, it would be a little bit odd to put on his eyes. And then it says that the first time that he did this, it looks on the outside like it just didn't take, okay? Or it took partially. It wasn't like Jesus, his power short-circuited, or it was only half strength or something. No, it wasn't a problem with Jesus. It was a problem with the faith of the man. And the man is actually symbolic of the faith of the disciples, that they were with him all the time, watching his miracles, watching him do these great, great things. And they saw those, and they believed that he did these things. But they didn't really have an understanding of who he was. So their faith was incomplete. Their faith was more of a temporary faith, just based on what they could see. And they knew he did this, so that was fine. But later on, if we read in the 9th chapter, he says, "Who do you say that I am?" It's kind of like one of those dangling questions people had to ponder. Peter says, "You're the Christ." And he understood who he was then. But it wasn't like a given for the rest of them, even though they were with him the whole time. Sometimes we can be, in church our whole lives and not really understand the depth of what we believe. Sometimes we don't really believe what we believe or know. There's a difference. It's knowing inside, it's knowing without a doubt the person of Jesus Christ, the power that he possesses, the authority that he has, the authority that he's given his children. A belief in him, knowing that you know. So this is something we can bank on. We can learn from this biblical account here. As we, like the disciples, oftentimes slip into knowing just what we see, but not what we know to be true. And so, with that, I'd like to pray for healing today.